You're listening to the Great Canadian Aftermarket Podcast, brought to you by the publishers of Indie Garage and Jobber Nation. Connect with us online at indiegarage.ca and jobbernation.ca, a brand of Chat Integrated Media.
Hello, everybody. It's Andrew Ross, the publisher and director of content for Chat Integrated Media, creators of the Great Canadian Aftermarket Podcast, which you're watching right now, as well as Indie Garage and Jobber Nation, going to the Canadian automotive aftermarket. Now, anybody in the aftermarket seeing the massive expansion in the need for a non-contact and low-contact communication with customers, as well as a real demand for more transparency with customers. And the world of digital vehicle inspection is right in the pocket for that. I've been joined today by Mike Risich from Bolt-On Technology, which has just hit a kind of a milestone. Mike, tell us a little bit about the milestone that Bolt-On Technology has hit just very recently.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. I really appreciate you giving us this opportunity. The big milestone is through our technology, users have submitted the 50th millionth image that has been communicated to vehicle owners. Pretty outstanding number.
That's an amazing, it's an amazing accomplishment. And I did have at some point a way to show the picture, but it was basically somebody sending a shop sending the customer some examples of vehicle fluids, what they should look like, and I think from what I'm to gather from that picture, what theirs actually looked like.
That's correct. Yeah, shops are doing that, all across North America, where they're being extremely transparent with vehicle owners, right? And in many cases, like the fluid example, they're able to demonstrate not only, what it should look like, what is, normal or new, but then what has been found on their specific vehicle.
Right. Now, during this very unusual time, I mean, this idea of being able to have minimal physical contact with your client base is obviously a heightened concern for everybody. But beyond that, and this time, I mean, what are the really driving forces that are making the proliferation of digital vehicle inspection something that people are waking up and taking notice of right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, one of the keys, I think, to our success, and, we've been ahead of this, obviously, pre-COVID. You can't take 50 million pictures in 6 months. You got to have some ramp up of adoption beforehand. But one of the keys to our success is that we recognize that most vehicle owners don't know many things about automobiles. The common thing we say here at Bolt-On is that people know literally two things about automobiles. One, the key goes in the front, and not necessarily in the steering column anymore, but just in the front. And two, the fuel source, could be gasoline, right? It goes in the rear, it goes in the back. And so beyond that, they need some service professional in their life who they put a lot of trust and a lot of value in that communication when they say to you, hey, Andrew, you need new front tires or new front brakes, or you need the fluid like we were talking about in the picture. There's a lot of skepticism. Vehicle owners are always on edge because, quite honestly, besides our homes, the second largest purchase we make is typically our automobiles. Yet we don't know much about them. We don't know what really makes them work. And so because of that, when we end up at the shop and it's, $300, $400 or more dollars, you start feeling like, am I being taken for a ride? Does my vehicle actually need that service? Or is this something so that they could just make some money on me? And what we've witnessed is that the shops that have embraced this technology, they are building much better relationships with those vehicle owners. They're doing a phenomenal job of educating them. And even more importantly, they're providing the evidence that allows that vehicle owner to share it with somebody else in their life that knows more about cars than they do, right, and can get some, credibility back in saying, yeah, Andrew, those tires are pretty worn out. You should probably get those taken care of. They're not trying to win you over on something there.
Sure. As somebody who has been called upon without that sort of resource on many occasions, I've been, grew up around motorsport and cars, and it's not unusual for people to say, hey, the shop said I need,
Right.
and other than being able to tell them, well, it's not an unusual thing for a vehicle to need, but I couldn't tell them at all whether or not their car actually needs it.
Yeah, right.
You know, they say, my car's got this much mileage on it. Do I need an oil change? I'm like, it could.
Yeah. Have you done oil changes before?
Right. So it's a funny thing where it's like being called. So even for folks who are put in that on the spot for
Yeah.
their sort of sofa expert opinion, at least they
Exactly.
can rely on it. Say, well, I have a picture of it. You know what? Yeah, those tires look like they need. You know what?
Right.
That suspension part, that's really worn out, or those brake pads, they're done. They're really done.
And people think there's a lot of edge cases around it, but it's really mainstream cases. Consider like, certainly not at this moment during COVID-19, but in a more typical year, you'd have a tremendous volume of college students away from home, some with automobiles, and they may be driving significant distances to
Right.
return home in November, right? And so they ended up at a shop, maybe 1,000 miles or kilometers away, and there is something really wrong.
Right.
And of course, they don't have the money, right? So they're calling mom and dad and asking them to. And if there's again that skepticism, right? And so the honest guy who's saying like, I don't know that they're going to get to you safely to enjoy the holidays.
Right.
He's kind of under that microscope, and digital vehicle inspection has really kind of unleveled that playing field, and also allowed the service provider to have a lot of confidence in saying, you get to make the ultimate decision, right? Like, this is your decision, but I'm telling you what I found.
Right.
And these are the critical areas that I think need your attention. These are some areas that in the future will need your attention. And these are the areas that are right in line. They're going to perform as we expect.
Right. So there's that real transparency, as we talked about, as well as a good, strong visual record,
Yes.
both for today and if it's work that's being recommended down the road, is there in the file, is there with the client as well. Now, in a kind of related area of the non-contact world, one of the things that certainly I've noticed in the virtual connection with everybody is everybody's got their platform of choice for connecting with people. I mean, we're doing this over a Zoom platform right now. There's other kind of virtual platforms. I have contacts who prefer to be texted with. I have others who will email, some who like a regular old phone call, some who are messenger. And this is really, you have to be kind of an expert on a lot of different platforms. Now, one of the things I noticed in the information on Bolt-On was the ability to do some transactional stuff over text, which is something that really capitalizes on that change, right?
Sure. So, in a transaction space, right, contactless transactions is the key words we use in this. We had started this, back in 2018, where we started thinking about when, you call the shop, Andrew, and you have to pay for your car, maybe because you're going to pick it up later after they close. You get extremely nervous to read off 16 numeric values over a telephone to somebody you can't see. And not only for the person who's receiving that over the phone, but who may be around you that may actually audibly hear you as well and is just jotting them down. And what we recognized is that we all have these things in our pockets, and we put our credit card information into them night and day. I mean, Amazon has proven more things are bought on mobile devices than on big, screens for laptops or iPads. So we already have an extreme comfort with putting that payment information into our own device. Right. And so we partnered with a number of these processors and empowered it for you to receive something via text message, which is the most convenient way. Click on a link, be prompted with all the information for payment, but now you're putting it into your own device. And so now, the anxiety level goes down because you realize it's your own device, and the information is collected, third party, completely secure. And then notification goes directly to the shop that you've paid for your service. And so we've kind of done the full loop there and created, a situation where The vehicle owner is confident in spending that money because it's on their own device. The shop owner is getting paid. And what we say is you're getting paid in the middle of the day, right? So our original approach to this was at 5 o'clock or at 6 o'clock when you close your doors, if you have 3 or 4 people in line, most people feel anxious about asking people to wait, right? They want to hurry. They know that you've already had a long day, whether it was work, school, whatever it may be, and you want to get home and be with your family for the evening. So they feel like this hurried sense that they got to get you processed, and get out of our establishment so you can get home.
Right.
Well, if I haven't been paid, by default, I have to basically say, where's my money, and that's not a great conversation to have. But if you've already paid me, the great news is I could say, here's your keys, Andrew, but real quick before you run out, I just want to make sure that you notice that your next appointment is already pre-scheduled for, February 5th, whatever it may be, because that is a much better conversation for you to have than, the where's my money conversation.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
And so, when you couple the best practice of having a better conversation with the technology of getting paid in advance in a secure and less anxiety role, it really is a match made in heaven for everybody, right? The vehicle owner, the shop themselves, and the technology company who helps connect the dots.
Sure. Now, I noticed, obviously, you've got a majority of your inroads have been made in the US, but you've got made some inroads into Canada recently. Is there anything that you've noticed distinguishing the Canadian customer base from the US customer base, other than maybe being more apologetic at times?
The business is really very similar. The way that the vehicles are dropped off in the morning, processed throughout the day, and picked up in the afternoon, it is extremely mirrored what you find in the lower 48, right? And so I think that's what lends itself to us having success there, right? We're really talking about a relationship business, not necessarily a transactional business. Some people may think they have a relationship with Amazon. There's no relationship. It's just a website and a button click, But when you actually go and take your automobile somewhere and have somebody work on it, that is a relationship where you are, validating the quality of that service and the experience that you're having from that establishment. And we know that the Canadians are highly motivated and interested in doing that as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think, one of the things we used to talk about is how technology was coming between, people, coming between ourselves and our customers. And over the last little while, if we have learned anything at all, it's that the right technologies really bring you together with your customers on the same page. Is that a fair comment?
It's extremely fair, right? You can allow technology to do some of the behavioral thing, or the cleanup of data collection and things like that, where the behaviors and the better conversations around having somebody that you have respect for and you understand the quality of the work and the skills that they have. I mean, that can't be replaced, right? I can go click and have a widget or umbrella or something delivered in no time from a number of websites, but I can't do the same and have the brakes on my car replaced, with the same degree of confidence that, an umbrella is one thing, right? It's going to work. I'm going to put it up and I'm not going to get wet. But is my automobile going to stop when I'm cruising down the highway at 70, 80 miles an hour, right?
Right. Yeah. So again, it's great, again, digital vehicle inspection, other pieces of technology to smooth the payment process, to help cash flow for businesses. That is definitely always something that is a good thing. Anything that'll aid in cash flow, and to help connect them with their customers, who most of them know anyway. They're not often strangers, and if they are, they're not strangers for long.
For long, that's right. Yep.
This really helps, building stronger connections with those folks. So it's a good message to bring forward. As gradually we'll emerge from this at some point in the future to continue to use the technology to build that transparency and those connections with our local community and customer base is definitely something that I think's got some legs, right?
Oh, clearly. Once upon a time when vehicle owners came into the shop, we would take them by the hand and walk them out and show them right underneath their automobiles. And then insurance companies came along and said, no, you can't do that.
Right.
But we all remember the response that occurred, right? The vehicle owner was so ecstatic that you were taking the time to educate them on what they should understand. And so we just, like you said before, like we're using technology to make that happen again, where, you know, the insurance companies came along and said, no, you can't do that. So now what? We can't educate people? No, we need to leverage technology. And that's one of the best things about technology, is it really unlevels the playing field when done appropriately.
Perfect. Yeah. So again, folks, thank you very much, Mike Risich from Bolt On Technology. So, you know, digital vehicle inspection, it's like bringing the customer into the bay, like the old days, right? It's, building that connection and that confidence in what you're doing. That's all for now. I'm Andrew Ross. This is the Great Canadian Aftermarket Podcast. We'll see you next time.